guest does not just study entrepreneurship, she is deeply embedded in how it evolves, how it survives across contexts, and how it reshapes their lives. From corporate boardrooms to indigenous ecosystem, she's seen it all. I'm Harish, and this is School to Startup, brought to you by Tracxn, the private market intelligence platform that's been supporting the global startup ecosystem for over 12 years. Through our university partnerships, we work with institutions driving the innovation and entrepreneurship, and this series highlights the academic leaders making that happen. And joining us today is someone who truly fits the bill. Professor Meena Chavan, Program Director of Master of Research in Management at Macquarie Business School in Sydney. Meena, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Harish. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to share my views with your viewers and
Great.
Happy to give you all the answers that you have for your questions. Please shoot the questions and I'm ready to answer.
All right, then. So let's begin with your journey. You have moved across roles, sectors, and systems, from M&A to deep research. What pulled you into academia, and what's kept you anchored in entrepreneurship work?
Right. So I'm currently an associate professor of entrepreneurship and international business at Macquarie Business School. Prior to that, I worked as a M&A analyst and a merger and acquisition auditor at KPMG as well as Deloitte, and basically helping entrepreneurs internationalize. And after that, when I had my family and two little boys, the corporate world was very demanding. As a mom, I had to think about a change. So I did my PhD in international entrepreneurship. During my PhD days, my outcome was the first entrepreneurship model for Australia, known as the productive diversity model. And this model, the outcome of this model showed the immense benefits and the advantages of immigrant entrepreneurs to the economy because of their links to their country of origin. Because these immigrants have their links to their country of origin, they helped Australia to improve their export earnings. That was the findings from my PhD. So after my PhD, I started my academic journey and I started teaching entrepreneurship units as well as academic units. So I research and teach in both entrepreneurship and international business areas. Basically, I am an economic anthropologist who studies human behavior, not just from the day-to-day social life, but I study their commercial human behavior and how their behavior leads to the creation of enterprises and entrepreneurship. And not just the creation of enterprises and entrepreneurship, but how these enterprises have a good social impact on the society. So I have been studying different communities, diverse communities, and their economic behavior and how it improves society. So my current research has been on immigrant entrepreneurs, refugee entrepreneurs, indigenous entrepreneurs, circular entrepreneurs, and a lot of these are directed towards how entrepreneurship can improve society. In relation to my background, I come from a highly educated family from India, of course. My grandfather studied at the London School of Economics, and my dad studied at an Ivy League university. Um, and my mom was a mathematics teacher. So I have been imitating my mom since I was a little girl, playing the role of a teacher. So being a teacher has been great, and I love being an academic. So far, I have supervised 12 PhD students and many postgraduate research students, and I've written 4 books. I'm very proud of them. And what I love most is the engagement, the everyday engagement with the young people in the classroom, and to learn a lot from them. This new generation is a very, very unique and resourceful community, and they're very good at sharing their ideas, understanding values. And I feel that this new generation is very ethical. They're very sustainable, and they embrace new ideas um, with a great ambition to do better and new things. So I must stress that better. So they're very sustainable, and they're very much attuned to new ideas and doing things ethically. And I'm very proud of this new generation. I love working with them. And being a teacher, as you asked me, what are my feelings about being a teacher? I love teaching. I've always loved teaching. When I'm on the stage in the classroom, I am a different entity altogether. The entity at different places at home or in society is different from the person who is in the classroom. That entity just wants to give hands-on, realistic, practical, work-oriented information to students to get them work ready. That is my main intention. Right? So hopefully you understood a little bit of my background from that.
Amazing. Yeah, like you're also guest editing a special issue on underdog entrepreneurs,
That's
those who are building despite systematic odds. So,
yes.
what have you seen in their stories that most textbook models completely miss?
Well, the special issue with underdog entrepreneurs consisted of a series of papers on women entrepreneurs, also indigenous entrepreneurs, refugee entrepreneurs, and all of those communities that have been disadvantaged, and how it is very important for the government as well as, for the society to accept them. For example, there are many countries and many communities that do not allow women to take up entrepreneurship. So, this special issue was to put a light on how disadvantaged communities and disadvantaged gender should be, encouraged into starting their own enterprise, however micro it is. So, my one of my current books, which was released this year, is also about um, women from Asia and how they have developed sustainable businesses. Right. So as you will see that most of my books surround around this theme of underdog. And those themes, the first one has been intercultural management for leaders, for developing diverse leaders from different communities, developing the international intercultural skills. That was my first book. The second book was on the women entrepreneurs, Asian women entrepreneurs. Then I had a book on immigrants, the economic contribution of immigrants. And then this month, we are releasing the book on indigenous women entrepreneurs. And one book which is on its way is on refugee entrepreneurs building bridges, because they come from other countries and they're coming to Australia or to other countries, and they're building the bridge to change their lives. So all of these, as you see, my entrepreneurship studies have been in regards to underdog entrepreneurs. So you picked a good topic And you identified the niche of my research, which is underdog entrepreneurs. And I must tell you that a new special issue is now coming up with the journal Entrepreneurship and Regional Development. It will open next month, and it will invite papers on indigenous entrepreneurs from across the world.
Very interesting. And this thread runs through a lot of your work too,
Okay.
be it context or not just capital. It
Right.
also shapes the strategy, right?
Yeah.
So, what's one way a startup in Sydney needs to think differently than one in, say, Singapore or in Mumbai?
Right. Okay. I personally feel that with my experience is that entrepreneurs or startups operating in Australia are multicultural. They come from varied countries. Whether they are local or whether they are international, the ecosystem supporting startups is not very strong as yet in Australia. So we need to get government support to set up and to develop very strong startups, startup ecosystems, where these ecosystems can be customized. Ecosystems for social enterprises, ecosystems for digital platform firms, ecosystems for women entrepreneurs, ecosystems for students, because their requirements are all different. And there are varied stakeholders in the community that need to come together and join hands with these ecosystems in order to help these people who are so enthusiastic about starting their own enterprises. So that is definitely missing. As compared to India, I would say that the Indian ecosystems are pretty strong in terms of Australia. Um, my most recent project is about studying the ecosystem of Indian digital platform firms. And where did that come from? This actually started during COVID. I was looking at the small businesses suffering here, and so many of them had closed down. But then I saw some small businesses come up with genuine ideas and setting up digital platforms and operating on digital platforms like real estate agents, making videos of homes and homes online, for example, and then cookie sellers and food sellers all coming online. And that was a great revolution. And I wrote an article on that about how small businesses can get online and how they can still continue with their operations even during the COVID period. That is when I looked at digital platform economy in India. And I looked at some of the digital platforms operating from regional areas in India and was surprised to understand what could be their ecosystem, who could be the supporters of this ecosystem. So currently, I am working with one of my PhD students who's working at IIM Indore at the moment as a assistant professor. I'm working in collaboration with him to understand how the digital ecosystems work in India.
That's brilliant. And we are just getting started. This is for our viewers. If you're enjoying this conversation so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Tracxn channel. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when future episodes drop. There's a lot more wisdom coming your way. Let's just be till the end. All right. So going zooming back, from the global to the local,
Mhm.
have there been any student-led projects that you genuinely surprised, something with real-world potential?
Absolutely. Look, as I mentioned, I teach both in the areas of international business as well as in entrepreneurship. And I have a number of international students in class. So I have seen some of my students develop projects and make them successful. I'll give you some very quick, small examples. So one student he was from Germany, and he made friends with a student from Canada, and they both together developed a firm which was known as Blah Blah and Company. And the name of this firm was Blah Blah and Company in order to sell summer gear in Canada. Can you imagine? Canada is a very cold country, right? They don't have a very long summer. So then they don't have many stores or businesses that sell shorts and, t-shirts, summer wear, beach wear. So they both came together and they started this in Germany as well as in Canada. So that was a good innovative idea of selling something in an area where there's not much demand, but they were a unique business. Then I have another student from India who has a textile manufacturing business in Mumbai, who sells currently plain white office shirts of different sizes to our major supermarkets here, known as Myers and David Jones. They're large super shopping centers where he sells those here. He started this project when he was here studying in my unit. So he bought those shirts from India and he gave the samples, and they went through all the stress, processes, and then they got selected, and now he continues that business. Currently, I would like to talk to you about two startups that have just come to my mind just yesterday. My research assistant, Harshita Sood, just informed me that her startup is 1 year old, and she has invited me for her 1 year celebration. And her startup is amazing. It's just a place where women with similar interests come together to meet, because women friendships are very important, specifically for people who are coming from different countries. So she set up this startup where people can come together and engage with one another and do something valuable for the community. So that startup is known as Ketchup. The other startup that I would like to definitely talk about here, which is very innovative, is Brand Scent. Brand Scent has been developed by a team of husband and wife, both doctors, Jiva and Suji. They're from Melbourne. They've started this innovative company where they develop perfumes for brands. So a perfume for BMW, a perfume for, say, an institute. So different for Five Seasons Hotel, So this is a very innovative idea, and they have already expanded to varied countries across the world. So these kind of innovative startups are really amazing.
Very interesting. And many of those students come from diverse and complex backgrounds too.
Yes.
So you have worked extensively on entrepreneurship in marginalized communities as well,
Yes.
from migrant founders to indigenous entrepreneurs.
True.
So what structural gaps do you still see in how we support these founders? And what would be a meaningful support actually look like?
Yeah, with the changes in the economy, with deep tech and AI, and with the challenges that the world is facing in terms of, carbon footprint, sustainability, wars, the current geopolitical system, the issues that the people of our societies, different societies, are facing today. It is very important that people or young people who want to start their enterprise get all the support that they need. That support is lacking. It's not adequate. Most importantly, when students go for entrepreneurship courses, they are taught via lectures, but that is not really the way. All institutions should have an incubator. They should have a startup for students ecosystem. They should teach them practically, hands-on, how to work with entrepreneurs, how to access funding, and how to develop products and how to market those products. The varied stages of entrepreneurship should be taught hands-on along with an experienced entrepreneur. Classroom lectures and classroom experiential activity too is a no-no. It's on the ground with the entrepreneur. So at Macquarie University, we have entrepreneurs coming to class and providing projects, real projects, right? For example, currently we have a particular company that has come in and they have asked our students to conduct research on how they could improve their membership. They're a startup, right? Another business has come to our class and they've given them a project in order to expand to Dubai. And another project has come in and asked whether they can send the samples of their product to people and get customer insights, what they think about the project. Will they buy it? And if they get good customer insights, then they'll fully develop the product as per the customer's requirements and then start selling it. So before going to the market, it's very important for the students to identify the need of the society. Identifying the needs is very important, and it should start with yourself. So what product would make my life easy? What service would make my life easy? Look at all aspects of your life. And then go to the next stage and then look at what services and aspects would make my mom's life easy. What product or service would make my sister's life easy, my friend's life easy? Then go further. What product or service would make the life of a blind person easy? A disabled person easy. Disabled tech is doing great work. That is how you come up to developing a product for the good of the society. That is innovation. That is the real entrepreneurship with social impact. That is what I feel is lacking at the moment.
Very interesting. I think you answered my first half of next question, the
Right.
role of academia. But I wanted to understand from you, are we adapting quickly as a university enough, in this fast-moving, high-stakes innovation landscape?
Yes, some universities are definitely moving ahead in that direction, but not all. My suggestion to universities and academics would be to move towards hands-on, practical, work-ready activities, projects that will give them keep them in contact with real entrepreneurs and take them through the varied phases of the entrepreneurial process. And that could be better done through incubators, not classroom teaching or classroom activities as well. Doesn't give them much. Many large organizations and many large universities use case studies, to teach students about entrepreneurship. I feel in this time with the digital economy, the case studies can also be done through AI and through varied other machine learning and varied other tech. But yet, there are still case studies. That face-to-face contact with an entrepreneur and, actually starting your business in class. That is what I used to do with my entrepreneurship students. Okay, the first week, start thinking about what you want to start and write down the details of your project. Second week, immediately start implementing it. So all of the phases, we would start implementing it, even contact the banks for funding. And also do a survey with the customers to find out if there was a demand for that product and how the product needs to be improved. That was also included in that. By the end of the semester, at least 5 or 6 projects were ready to go to the market. So these were groups that set up these enterprises. But when you are in a group, it helps a lot because everybody puts in their minds together and they bring in their resources, and therefore these kind of enterprises come up, which is great for the students as a hypothetical experience that they can take back from the university when they set up their own enterprises.
Very interesting. And finally, for a student just stepping into this entrepreneurship space, I know you would have told multiple times, but what's one piece of advice you would want them to really absorb early on?
Yeah, sure. Look, everybody wants to get into a startup these days, and they would like to stand on their own feet and do something where they can be known as an entrepreneur, right? But as I mentioned, the first thing that you should do is do your research well into what kind of an entrepreneur you want to be. Use your skills, use your education. If you have some education, if you have some background experience, use that. If you don't have experience and you are jumping into a particular business, you need another person in your business, a partner or a collaborator who has that experience. It is very important to have the experience and the knowledge of the field that you are getting into. And if there is no need for a particular product and there are many competitors offering that particular product or that service, then you're bound to face a lot of competition unless and until your product is unique or it gives more value than what is already available in the market. You're not going to be too successful. So it's important for you to identify that niche. Don't just look at your environment and the people in your immediate vicinity. Look at people beyond, different kinds of people. Look at the new generation. Look at the senior citizens. There is a huge market and a huge demand for products to cater to the senior citizens, and that is a huge population. So identify your need and then move slowly. Do not rush. Take the help of people who have experience within the area, and you will definitely get there. Most important of all, resilience. Never give up and keep trying.
That was incredible. Thank you very much. But before we wrap, where can our viewers follow your work or dig deep into your latest research or
Mhm.
trainings?
You can definitely follow me on the Macquarie University website. If you just type my name, Associate Professor Meena Chavan, you will go to my page and you can find all my publishing and my books. Everything will be there.
That's great. The link will be available in the comment section. Click on the link and you will be able to connect with Professor Meena. All right, that's a wrap for this episode of School to Startup. Huge thanks to Professor Meena Chavan for joining us and sharing such grounded, cross-border wisdom on how entrepreneurship really works, especially for those building against the odds. If you found this valuable, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.